Yeah. Some backpack raps. Turn it up. Hey yo, life's a bitch and then you die, yeah we knew that, but screw that. I'll toast to the future, not where the crew at. It's FTB until I'm 6 feet deep. Yeah, we done started a movement, a leader, never been a sheep. So I don't follow the crowd, I'm trying to make my own lane. Lost a lot in this life, but I still got more to gain. Never take for granted the fans who've been waiting for the day I blow like Nagasaki on everyone, ignoring the name. Verses pour from my mind like that Kentucky bourbon. But I was born in the shy, my mentality's urban. Never was sure about my purpose, but I know one thing's for certain. I came here to fuck up the game till I'm wanted for murder. Gotta be honest though, I know I got talent and I'm driven to make my vision come to fruition. No indecision, achieved a lot in life that some said I wouldn't. So what's the difference when it comes to this rap shit they saying I couldn't? Bound to fail, I ask them why. Cause I'm white in my 30s, I got a family and work a normal fucking job. You must be kidding, man, that fuels the fire. And I'm prepared as I get bigger for haters to put me through the wire. But I won't let it bring me down, I got that tunnel vision. Like a horse in a derby, I'm just focused on winning. Passing up my peers, no wonder why I'm always grinning. But when it comes to my enemies, my trigger finger itching. Don't like the negativity, I'm only moving up. So if you ain't with me on the grind, then how can you say I don't do enough? Soon enough, they all go see I proved enough and rock with it. All from the bottom, there ain't no stopping it. Music's my passion and I made a promise to always crush whatever the fuck was in front of me. So let's be honest, do I? Hell yeah, they know the flow dumb. And one thing's for certain, if you don't chase your dream, it won't come. But you can't ever chase your dream if you don't run. So I'm gunning for the tip top, homie, and then some. Make it a habit of smashing raps in my backpack like snack packs. I got my cat backwards, listening to Mac Miller. Got some Nikes on my feet, running them laps around my peers, but they too proud and cocky to admit defeat. But I ain't taking prisoners, they on my plate. It's time to eat, it's time to show them what I'm about. Cause then they'll want a fucking feature, what a piece. That's cool though, I really can't blame them. They'd rather do a track with your boy, cause they won't be getting nowhere if they hate them. But in the end, I love this hip hop shit. So I'm gone, got a plane to catch. Kick rocks, bitch.
Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting. Welcome, everybody, to a Monday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. How is everybody doing? Miss Candace, how are you, dear?
Much warmer since I'm home.
I hear you. I tell you what, it is a really cold Monday here in Kentucky.
Now, the reality of that, though, it was like 50-something degrees. It ain't that cold. We're just a bunch of sissies that has been like...
No, I love it. I love it.
I know it's my favorite. I just wasn't ready for it. Like, because you can... I always say, when it's cold, you can keep covering up. But when it's hot, you can only get so naked. Like,
right. I'm the same way, and I love cold weather. Like today, I did wear long pants today. It's the first time I wore long pants, and I had my regular work shirt on, and I had my hoodie on, and that's it. I didn't have nothing else on other than my hat. But what's up, Matthias, Chris Elder? What's going on, gentlemen? How are you guys? So what you didn't notice in the intro You know how it said HomeFront Sitrep Willis underneath of it?
I was sharing our live.
That's gone. I took all of that. There's Michelle.
You just took it away.
Well, no, it still says instead of saying Willis, it says HomeFront Sitrep now. So anything that said Willis on it, I took that out. So,
Oh, I love you.
and I did the outro too. I did that earlier as well. So, but no, today, being a Monday, um, it was one of those days. Like just when we were playing the video there, it rolled right into Scotty Hastings' video, and I was like, "Wait a minute, we're not playing that one."
I know, and I was sitting there, I was like, "Oh man, he stopped it." Hi, Matthias.
Yeah.
We miss your face.
It was supposed
on
to
the second book.
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting on the second book too. I can't wait for it to come out. Hopefully, it'll be coming out soon. We can have him back on the show, and he could talk about his new book release.
Well, at a certain point, though, because he's growing that with his son, it's going to be too advanced for Marines to read. So you got to be careful with that, Matthias.
Listen here.
I think the first one's great.
That hurts my feelings.
I still think he needs to make a coloring book.
Anyway.
Look, how much were you outside today, though?
All day.
So I was on a golf cart. And the first thing this morning when I went out, I was like, oh, no, because the wind was nuts this morning.
Oh, it was this morning. Like literally, I had to go out last night about 11:30 and take down the two Halloween critters, the blow up critters that's on the front porch. I had to unplug them so they didn't get blown away.
Crazy.
Huh?
Last night was crazy with the wind. I was like, man, we got a storm coming. But
well, I thought it was going to rain too, but it didn't.
No.
Like when I looked at the radar, it was green rain in the area, but it wasn't touching down. So
it wasn't.
Yeah. So
like, luckily, I had just ordered a top for that thing, so I went right back inside. I went down one aisle, and I was like, no. So I put the cover on it, and it at least broke the wind today. So.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I was out in the wind and all day today. I did 4 jobs. I completed 4. My first one took 4 hours to complete, and it was a pain in the butt, but I got it done and ready to rock and roll. I got to go back to the VA hospital tomorrow. It's the final appointment before my knee replacement. So then I got to come home and get the house ready to go for when I have my knee replacement. What's going on, Doug? How are you, sir?
Did you put the microwave in?
Nope. That's on the to-do list.
Are you going to get a stair chair for the bunker?
No, actually, I think I'm moving the small monitor and the computer and stuff upstairs. That way I don't have to crawl down the steps, because you know me, I will be crawling down backwards.
Look, I'm surprised she ain't just putting you down there for the extent of it and like, here's your bucket, stay down there. She's already threatened to throw me down the stairs. So it might happen one day.
I got that on record.
So when you move to Florida, all one level.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm getting too old for stairs. My kids are getting ready to move out, and I'm getting too old for stairs. Hopefully, when we move to Florida, the kids take the dogs, so I don't have to take them either. So, because I'm going to be no dog house after that.
You will not make it. You won't last. You'll be a little dog.
Unless I have a service dog.
You'll be a no little dog house.
Yeah, no little dog, because I hate yippee yappers. I really do. I love my dogs. I love them to death, but I hate them in the same breath. But speaking of dogs.
Yeah,
speaking of dogs, good segue. So service dogs, we have a great organization from Washington, the state of Washington. It's called Northwest Battle Buddies. Miss Shannon Walker is the founder, CEO. She's just all around badass. Let's just put it that way, with everything that she does. So the mission at Northwest Battle Buddies gives professionally trained service dogs to veterans battling PTSD, helping them regain their freedom and independence. And then what was you saying just a minute ago? that quote that you were saying?
Ah, I love it. Sorry, I'm choking.
No, you're
So
good.
well, look, I've already
What's
went.
going on, Mr. Vincent? How are you, sir?
I was looking through other stuff.
And Doug, yeah, we're living life here in Kentucky as well. See, look, Matthias, I threw it up on the comment. So we are live, Mr. Vincent. We are live.
Hi, Vincent. We love your daddy, which means we love you too, because he's
So,
awesome.
so what was the quote?
So it's never quit, never give up. The quote is, "It is our hope that the day before a veteran meets their service dog is their last worst day, and the day they meet their service dog is their best first day." And I love it. Love it, love it. I'm super excited about talking to Shannon tonight because looking into some of the stuff that they do, like the program is really exciting. That's what I can't wait to learn more about, is how they put their veterans with the dog and the training that they put them through.
Because it goes through 5 months of
Uh,
intense
Intensive.
training, and then the last 5 weeks, the veterans there learning to with the dog. So it's a very extensive program. So let's bring Miss Shannon up to the stage. Let's see.
Like now you're gonna mess with her because you changed the layout.
Nope, I had to fix it.
Don't move yet.
I had to fix it. Welcome, Miss Shannon. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing awesome. About as good as I can be. Let's put it that way. So how's the weather in Washington?
Maybe warmer than y'all's because I was hearing you complain. It is, well, I heard you commenting. How's that?
You were
It's good.
complaining.
You know, I started out in a sweatshirt and then I went to a t-shirt and then you go back to a sweatshirt. So it's, 50s, maybe in the morning, 40, and then it got up to maybe like 70 and then it quickly goes back down. So, we get to try on multiple clothes here, but it's definitely fall is definitely kicking in. But for dog training, it's perfect. It's perfect weather. So I love it. I love it.
That sounds like typical Kentucky weather.
Yeah, so I had a hoodie on. I took a hoodie off because I started sweating, and with it being as cold and windy as it was, sweating and being cold and in the wind, no, it just didn't feel good. So I took the hoodie off. Then I stopped working, put the hoodie back on. So yeah, I was doing that all day today, and I think it got up to 60 today. I think total maybe.
It might have been 60. We're just being whiny with our first windy, cold day, and like in a month from now, we're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be laid up for the next 12 weeks. So I'm going to be stuck inside.
You're not going to be laid up that long.
Well, just for a little while.
Don't be a sissy. You're trying to use an excuse.
Miss Shannon, do me a favor. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, a little bit of background on you?
So background on me. So, I grew up in Pendleton, Oregon. It's a cowboy town. And we had, back in the day, it was like the 5th largest rodeo in the United States. So our little town would just be huge. I mean, it would just, people would come in. People would actually literally rent out their front yards for people to park their trailers on. Or they would leave town and rent out their house like an Airbnb before Airbnbs were a thing.
Yeah.
So I grew up there, always loved dogs, wanted to be a veterinarian actually. But I just knew I wanted to do something with animals, because if there was a dog or a cat or anything that wasn't at the front door of a house, I knew it was lost and needed me. So we had a lot of strays, and I just have always had a heart for animals, and especially dogs. And so that's kind of where it started for me. And like I said, I wanted to be a vet, but I worked in a vet clinic briefly, for a year, and I cried a lot. It was so sad to me. I knew I didn't want to be a vet anymore, but I had no idea I was going to be a dog trainer either, because in our cowboy town, when you live on a ranch, if it doesn't work, you kind of get rid of it. You don't necessarily, now granted, we didn't do that, but growing up, my dad, the animals were for a reason, even though he loved the dogs. And so there were no trainers. There wasn't anything I was ever exposed to until I was actually in Tennessee. And because I've been in Kentucky too. I was in Tennessee for 5 years, and then I got introduced to the Schutzen sport, which I started to compete in, which is like police dog training. you know. So I went from Pendleton, Oregon, and I lived there, did a lot of jobs, had multiple dogs, but I ended up moving to Tennessee on a whim with a girlfriend, met my husband, got married, and he told me, I had this German Shepherd dog, and he told me, get him trained or get rid of him. And the dog, later on, I got rid of the husband, but the dog, and I ended up getting introduced to Gene England, who's in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and saw my first dog sport, got introduced to Schutzen, which is like police dog training, but it's an incredible sport. I fell in love with it. My first event was in Louisville at Kentucky. And so stuff like that. So that's kind of got me down the path to dogs. But, you know, I've just done a lot of jobs. I mean, at one point, you know, I had three jobs all at the same time. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 15. Raised by an incredible patriot who taught me to believe in God, family, and country. And when you're in the presence of a veteran, you're in the presence of a hero, even though he never considered himself one. There's not one time that we were at the Pendleton Roundup and my dad didn't have his hand over his heart for the national anthem, and he didn't have tears running down his cheeks or his chin quivering. I mean, he was a man that didn't cry, but he was a patriot, and he would always thank a veteran for his service, but he was always completely uncomfortable when they came to thank him. And he didn't speak about the patriotism but he modeled it. And I didn't realize how much it would become who I am.
Yeah.
And how we serve veterans today. But yeah, so I got into dog training because my ex said what he said, and then I fell in love with the sport. And you know, I've been a dog trainer now for 30 years. I got married, had twin boys that have now served in the Army and Marines. I became a single mom, but I started in the Schutzen sport when I was competing, and I've competed internationally, and I have the honor of working with police departments and helping them train their police dogs and all of that kind of stuff. And but I realized I had to make money for myself. And in my simple-minded thinking, I thought if I could just train 4 dogs a month, I could be a stay-at-home mom. And I raised my boys, turned my business into a huge multi-million-dollar business, training dogs for everybody in the world, until I ended up started training dogs for veterans too about 12 years ago. And I get to do this, and it's not very many people get to turn their passion into their purpose. And
Right.
all the jobs I've ever done, you know, I'm really, really blessed that I get to do this. So it's pretty awesome ride.
Yeah, you touched on your why, because you didn't really say who, but it was your father that is your reason for doing veterans, which you can go on the website and see that. And then, like you just said, your two kiddos, Army, Marines, they both work with you doing service dogs. So what's it like having your kids? You know, they join the military, now they're out, now they're working with you, running the business, the family business. What's it like having them with you there?
Well, I mean, it's incredible. It's every mother's dream, you know. So, you know, let me back up 1 second. You know, it's like to have your kids, you know, they're men, they're 29, but to have them adopt your belief system and to serve veterans. Not only do they serve their country, you know, because of what, you know, I'm a Christian as well. And the Bible says, train a child up in the way they'll go and they won't depart from that. And my dad, it is his legacy. You know, I mean, he taught me to believe in God, family, and country. And that's why I serve veterans the way I do now with my gift. And I can briefly touch about the very first veteran I ever met that inspired Northwest Battle Buddies. But, you know, my boys came right out of, they were in high school when I founded Northwest Battle Buddies. We provide service dogs to veterans with PTSD. We've gifted over 257, and we have not lost one veteran to suicide in the last 13 years. And my boys were with me getting dogs out of shelters. They walked it out with me. They were all I had. I didn't have a Northwest Battle Buddies team like I have now. We just were doing it. You know, you get inspired and you don't work out all the details. You just get busy. Yep. And then you work out the details later. That's what my dad always says. You don't know what you don't know. And, you know, thank God ignorance is bliss, because, you know, a lot of times if you go to do anything great or create something bigger than yourself, if you saw how hard it would be, it might cause you to pause. But I was raised, you never quit. I raised my boys, you never quit. So when my boys started with me, I mean, they were walking the malls with me. They were walking the shelters with me, taking care of the dogs and all that. And then, I started Northwest Battle Base. We were, doing our thing. And then right out of high school, they both left within a month to South Korea and Okinawa. And I was a single mom, and boom, my boys were gone. And so that was we celebrate veterans, but I can speak from experience when we celebrate the families and the sacrifice all the way down the line for what our freedom is in this country and the people that pay that price. And the price as a mom, that's a small price to pay compared to the men and women and the families who have lost loved ones or that had to actually fight or sign on that line themselves and go wherever they're asked to go. So anyway, so my boys did that, and it was, I'll tell you, you'll appreciate this, Willis, being a Marine. But so Army and Marines, twin boys, they're twins.
Curious about
a day apart, and the son who went into the Corps, he's like, I'm like, Jared, the Marines, really? Why the Marines? They're the best, Mom. So he went in, and they both came out with honorable discharges. And when they came out, the Marine did one enlistment. The one, Jacob in the Army did this too. But they came out specifically to serve veterans. They came back to finish doing what they started before they went in. But now they have a perspective of walking the walk and talking the talk. And so they bring an element of not only dog expertise and donor relations and everything they do, because this is their blood in their veins. I mean, this is who they are. But now they can also serve their other brothers and sisters in arms in a different way. So it's still service, but they have a perspective that I don't have. And it brings tremendous value to the veterans that they're serving and instructing and, setting the charge for them. So it's literally my boys are every mother's dream. They are incredible men. And I tell people all the time, my boys went in men of character. They went in boys, young men of character, but they came out leaders of men. And as good as I am as a mom, I feel like I did a very good job. Always could have done better. And always, of course, I have my pile of regrets in the closet. But, they did, the military did for them what nobody else could have done. And so I'm super grateful that I'm also grateful they're home safe. So.
I mean, I think their mom probably did a whole lot for them.
Yeah. Well,
I have to say. So which one's older, the Marine or the soldier?
Marine.
Right.
So
that day made a difference.
It did. They were born on the 12th and 13th of April. So they were born. Yeah, one was born in the afternoon and on April, and then the other one was born at 1:00 in the morning the next day. And so, they so it's all right. We celebrate them separately, and it's really awesome what the military did for their relationship as well. It really did. Their first Christmas back together, I was so grateful that they were able to come home. They came home from their duty stations, and we had our first Christmas together. Jared gave Jacob dog tags that said, brothers in arms. And then on the other side said brothers in blood. And, when they grab, there's a couple times they had to go. And, you grab those things that mean the most to you. And one was my dad's New Testament Bible that he carried in his pocket. And the other were those dog tags from his brother, So it's like, it's that kind of stuff that, and then I take all of that, and then we look at our veterans that we're serving, because everybody has those stories. We have those things that truly matter in life, and that gives life worth living, and it's meaning, and it makes it worth living. So, but yeah.
I can't imagine the amount of pride you feel as a mother. I know, like, my daughter didn't serve, but she's a nurse, and like there's times where the pride that you get from what your children are doing, that it's almost like you can't explain the feeling. And the way that you're talking about these men that you raise, it's great to see that you get those feelings. You're a very, very proud mom, and I love it.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, I tell them, if I didn't know them because they were my sons, I would want to know them in my life.
Yeah.
It's just the quality, and my mom lives with me now. She'll be 81 in December. And I mean, she's just, she's like something else and full of life. And I have the honor of her living with me now. She's been with me now for 2 years, and she'll live with me forever. And it's really amazing. You know, I lost my dad in 2011, and he died December 20th, 2011. And that is its own story. But you know, to be blessed by an amazing family, and to have, because family is family. And when I look at, people ask me, they'll say, well, did you start Northwest Bible Base because of your dad, as a tribute to, I mean, you know, was it for my dad? And it wasn't for my dad, but it was because of the way my dad raised me. So I've been a professional dog trainer for 30 years now. And when in my for-profit business, I have multiple businesses. And in my first for-profit business, I had a veteran come looking for help. He wanted his personal dog to be trained to be a service dog. And because he was a veteran, I was doing a bath in the back. And, you know, when you're busy, you delegate what you can delegate, and
Right.
you handle what only you can handle. But because he was a veteran, I wanted to give him my personal attention. And I trained service dogs before, but I never trained a service dog for a veteran with PTSD. And so I met him, and he was telling me about what he needed. And I assessed his dog. She was a yellow lab named Sammy, and she was young enough and had temperament enough. And I just did what I normally do. And I kept her for many months. I found out what she needed to task for. I got educated about it and researched about invisible wounds of war, because this was all new to me. And so I trained her for many months. And when it was time for him to come back, because, you know, you can develop the tool, you know, you can build the best wheelchair, you can build the best cane, the best walker, the best, whatever piece of equipment, the best, you still have to be taught how to use the equipment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so when it came time for Kevin to come train with me, number one, I truly started to learn about the suicide rate, because we say it like a number, like it's the weather.
Right.
But when you're talking 22 veterans a day, over 8,000 lives a year, think about it. 22 families today are planning funerals.
Yeah.
It's
And
like,
that's not even a legitimate number. Like that's so far below
Huge.
the reality.
yes. So Kevin was telling me, first of all, my dad always taught me that freedom wasn't free, even though I didn't know what that meant, and I still don't, but I have a better idea. But I was learning that Kevin, after coming home, so he was a front gunner in the Army, and out of the last firefight he was in with his unit, 6 of the men and women that were in that battle with him that survived that battle had come home and committed suicide on American soil.
Mm.
He'd been self-medicating with illegal drugs for years. He was clean by the time he came to me. And I was realizing that even though he wasn't putting the uniform on anymore, he was still paying a price for my freedom every day. And I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was sitting across the desk, and he was telling me this. And I'm free because of men and women like him, and the men and women that have gone before him and will go after him. And then when he was out working his dog, because I've worked with people before, I mean, that's what I do. I work with people with their dogs all the time. But the difference about Kevin is I saw in public, I saw him find courage inside himself to lead Sammy where he was afraid to go alone. And I saw him be willing to do for her what he was unwilling to do for himself. And then I'm just watching this, and it was a very profound thing for me. And when I was watching him walk away after his final testing, he's walking through the parking lot, and his head is up and his shoulders are back. And here's this yellow lab walking next to him. I watched him walk away.
Mm.
And I significantly felt like, out of everything I'd ever accomplished, I felt like I significantly made the difference in the quality of somebody's life. And it was a game changer for me. So, and I didn't know it was going to go any further. And then fast forward, maybe you're welcome. Fast forward maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month, and this Vietnam veteran comes walking into my business. He rode a bus, found me. He rode a bus. He came in, and he says, I know Kevin, and I want what he has.
Mm.
A Vietnam veteran came and found me and said what Kevin had. And I didn't have dogs to give him. And so I started thinking, if I can just adopt dogs out of shelters, I can train them, and I can gift them, and I can say, thank you for my freedom. And that is exactly what I went out and did. I went to Clackamas County Dog Services. They checked out my reputation, which was stellar. It still is. And I walked away with 5 dogs for free that day, and I got started training dogs for veterans. And I paired Randy, that Vietnam veteran, with a beautiful blue pit bull named Leia.
No.
And she lived out her life with him. And since then, they have both passed away from natural causes, but she was with him for 10 years. His life. And that was like I said earlier, 257 service dogs ago. And we have not lost one veteran to suicide. And the need is greater now than it ever was when we started. But that's how it all started. So when we look at why did I start? Because of the value my father instilled in me about our freedom and the men and women who provided it. And then God granted me with a gift, and I have perfected my craft and continued to sharpen my skills to be able to serve men and women that served our country at the highest level by providing them high-level trained service dogs and teaching them to handle like professionals. And it's an incredible, incredible honor to walk their walk of freedom every day. And what is their walk of freedom? Everywhere they wouldn't have gone or been able to go without that dog.
And thank you for giving that gift. I really thank God for that. And the story we talked about, with the two of them, that's the definition of freedom isn't free.
No.
That right there, what these men and women go through when they get back, that's why freedom isn't free. And people don't realize that unless they're close with somebody that experiences something like that, or a relative or a friend. And even then, some people don't realize it. But yeah. Ooh.
Well, even the goodbyes, when my boys, they come home and they're home for however long on leave. And I visited them both at their duty stations in Korea and Okinawa and things like that. And they had other duty stations, of course. But it was my son's second enlistment, Jacob, and when you're a mom and you're as close as we are, that last night, first of all, he would never, when he was home on leave, Jacob, he never wanted to talk about, people would always, well, how long do you have? He never wanted to talk about it. He never packed until the last minute. And he'd be packing. It's 1:00 in the morning. He maybe has to catch a flight at 5. And I'm just sitting on his floor in his bedroom. I'm just soaking up every second. And I remember we were at the bottom of the stairs. See this, if you knew me, I don't cry. We talk about this stuff. I am waterworks. But we're sitting at the bottom of the stairs and he's super emotional. And he goes, you know what? This is why I'm getting out. And I'm like, why? He says, it's the goodbyes, Mom. I'm so tired of the goodbyes.
They're the hard.
It's what your life ends up becoming with a family when somebody in the military. It's the hellos that are elation. It's elation when you're together again. But then it's the heartache of the goodbyes, not knowing if or when.
Yeah, because you don't know if that's going to be your last.
Yep.
That's what makes them so heart-wrenching. That you don't
say
that goodbye.
The goodbyes were always the hardest for me as well. When I was in, I was in from 97 to 01, and I got out right before 9/11 happened. I was on terminal leave in August, got out officially out September 1st of 2001, and then 9/11 happened, and I told my mom, I said, be ready. She goes, for what? I said, for that Western Union saying that I need to go back. And she says, do you really think you'll have to go back? And I was like, yeah, I'm infantry. They're going to recall me back. I mean, that's what I did. And, that's what my job. And sure enough, we got the Western Union, and it gave me a couple months before I had to report back. But just knowing that there was a departure date on there, and that, there was a possibility that I never came home.
Yeah.
Was the hardest. Not just for me, but for all my family. Cause I got a huge family. I mean, it's and we're super close, like you guys. And my my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, everybody was there when I had to leave, and it just the goodbyes were the hardest. Always was the hardest.
Yeah.
On the severity of that, like 9/11 just happening, like that doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I know how I know how your son was feeling when he had to leave to go on deployments and stuff like that, and it just it's just crazy. Um, now when we talked on our meet and greet, you had already said you get some of your dogs from from shelters.
Mhm.
Now you also breed as well, if I remember correctly, right? Or
Yes, we
some
do.
dogs-
Yeah, we purpose breed them. Yep, we do. We actually have we have a litter of English lab babies. They're 2 weeks old right now on the ground. That are actually so we purpose breed English cream golden retrievers and English labs, and we still take dogs out of shelters. But we are providing. I think last year, I think it's like 45 service dogs in 1 year, and so when you're looking, first of all, you have to pay attention to donor dollars. These dogs cost $25,000 by the time you train them and gift them. Of course, they are 100% a gift to our American heroes. We do not charge our veterans any money at all. They deserve it. They've earned it. It's the least we can do. We are in service to them all, just forever. But anyway, but you're also looking at donor dollars. So your success rate of a dog that is purpose bred, genetically inclined for the work, is you have a higher success rate than you will taking dogs out of shelters. Now, if you're really good at choosing the right dog and everything else, but it's still there's because we're not breed specific. We have shepherds, we have, of course, I already mentioned, we have little pit bulls, we have mixed breeds, we have all kinds of mixed breeds, but so we're not breed specific. If the dog can do the work, the dog can do the work. And then we just look for dogs that fit in society. Somebody may want a Great Dane for balance work, but try fitting a Great Dane under the table in the restaurant.
Yeah, go ahead.
We really try to look at making sure that we are not only pairing the veteran with a dog that is healthy, that is going to hopefully live and be able to serve that veteran for 10 years. Okay. But we also want to, we want to have that dog, have a long life, be genetically inclined. A lot of times when you're working with veterans, dogs are only as good as their handler. And even though we train our dogs for 5 months and our veterans go through 5 weeks of training after that, and they're excellent handlers, or they wouldn't be graduating from our program. The veterans lovingly, sometimes not so lovingly, refer to it as boot camp at times, depending on the day. It's very, very strict. It's very specific. There is a standard. And if the standard isn't worth sacrificing for, then it isn't a standard. And I think I said that on our meet and greet even, but,
You did.
but the fact is that if the training was to fall at all, we want to make sure the temperaments don't. And so when we're working with English creams and English labs, it's really important. Besides that, we have a lot of veterans that go into the workforce, and we want to make sure, sometimes I love all breeds, and I have shepherds and Rotties. I love working with the cops. I love a working protection dog, but not everybody wants a German Shepherd dog in their office that might intimidate the clients or so we just really try to make sure that we're setting our veterans up, not with an extra barrier.
Right.
Job with a dog, let alone a dog that can intimidate the public. So so we work hard on.
Sorry, I'm sorry. It's so bitter. It's so bittersweet for the veteran because you're looking for that freedom, but at the same time, there is the worry, there is the stress that so many people don't realize it's taken away from that veteran, but also there's other things that are added to them when you walk somewhere in public and you're getting the looks or you're getting the comments, and then you're adjusting to where is this dog going to go while we're here, or looking at the workforce and then dealing with people that go, no, you can't do this, and have a million questions that they're not allowed to ask. Like there's these added stresses that go on this veteran, and preparing for that as well, along with looking at breed specific and unpredictability sometimes from your shelter dogs, because they're wonderful, they're loyal usually because they come out of the shelter, but when you're looking at the longevity, like you said, and how just the pattern of being able to be trained correctly,
Absolutely, yeah,
kudos to you.
And I know we talked during the meet and greet. I'm gonna piggyback off of kind of what you were just saying. So the dog is gifted 100%.
Mhm.
Let's say a veteran from Kentucky wanted a service dog. He goes through the application process.
Mhm.
He gets picked to get one of your service dogs. Now, when that veteran has to come out there for those 5 weeks, um, we talked about this during, you know where I'm going. We talked about this during the
Yeah.
meet and greet. How does your nonprofit handle that veteran?
So, well, our veteran liaison is phenomenal. She's a former Marine. Her husband served in the Corps as well, 22 years. He was a master sergeant. He has one of our service dogs. So she knows all the ins and outs and all that. Besides that, she's like a dog on a bone, like a bulldog on a bone. I mean, she seriously is like a force to be reckoned with. Northwest Battle Base cannot afford at this time to pay all the expenses of veterans coming out. And we are waiting for that donor. We are working hard. We would love to have a facility where we can put our veterans up, have a chef, cook breakfast. So the whole 14 veterans are around a table at breakfast or around a table at dinner. They have their own place. They have a man cave. She has a she shed, whatever people call that stuff right now. But a safe place for our veterans to be put up with. Northwest Battle Base, it is our goal, our long-term goal, to be able to take care of them like that and serve them at the highest level like that. What we're doing now is that we have a lot of resources and even other veteran organizations that will help fund some of our veterans' expenses that do need to come nationwide. We're in 27 states. And so we have Simplify America Fund is amazing. And there's other organizations, even for the fallen out of Seattle, Washington. A lot of times they'll pay the whole hotel bill. And then we also have donors that will gift. We just had an organization say, we want to sponsor all the expenses of your next veteran coming out. And so that's up to like the tune of, like, it was just between $8,000 and $9,000 of what they paid, to just for airfare, rental car, everything. So we do our best to help find them resources. But if we can't help them find them, and Jonna helps them walk through all that, then they do have to come out on their own dime or in part. And so unfortunately, that can be an obstacle for some veterans. We're definitely want to be in a case where we can fund the entire experience and every recertification after that, because our veterans come back and recertify every year for the life they have that dog. And so, it's it's really, really important.
How long is that process, the recertification?
It's a day. They just come in for a day,
right.
And so I saw your comment, David. You're welcome. So, but anyway, yeah, it's just when they come back, it's just a day. And a lot of times we try to keep the groups together because, what's really awesome is, so some organizations only fund post 9/11 veterans. Everybody has a right to do whatever they want to do. I can't imagine not serving all veterans from all conflicts, especially our Vietnam veterans. Our Vietnam veterans, our 100th dog went to a Vietnam veteran, and he just was so sweet. He's still serving with his dog. He still has his dog. But he talks about, he really thought his life was over. And now he says, I feel like my life's just beginning. And a Vietnam veteran to finally find a tool that's going to open up their world. It's just incredible. But I can't imagine, I love all of our veterans. And what's awesome is when they come together, it doesn't matter. There's just a community. There's a community amongst veterans that is unprecedented and goes without saying. But no matter what conflict, they get together, they serve each other. And so we try to bring our veterans back for recertification together. So they come back. It's like a reunion when they get back together. But a lot of them, they stay in touch. They end up with a group chat going. Every group has their own group chat. They stay connected. We have a Northwest Battle. We have a Teams page. So all of our veterans with service dogs, we have a closed, safe space page for our veterans to share best ideas, successes, frustrations, everything else. And the only other people that have access are our trainers. So we can see sometimes nonsense starts going and we're like, okay, we're done with this. Shut it down. You got to like police it a little bit, look at things, or they'll definitely have opinions they share. And I'm like, this is a friendly place, but they're veterans. So what are you going to say, but it's amazing. It's amazing. I love that we serve all conflicts, but across the years, they serve each other like they're the same. Like it doesn't matter
Right.
conflict or age. And what's really amazing is when they get together and they'll lock arms and be like, okay, because there's not one veteran that doesn't endure our 5 weeks and doesn't want to quit. There's not one. But that's anything in life is hard. I've wanted to
Yeah.
quit my job a million times, but I just never will. I just know
Right.
if I really want to quit 5 times in a day, I just know I need a nap and then I can regenerate. But our veterans will tell each other, I won't quit if you won't quit. So they're committed to each other and they get each other through. And it's just an incredible community to walk out life with. It really is. It's unprecedented. And it's an honor, like I said, and I mean it.
I have a couple of things going through my head. So do you only work with PTSD?
So no, I will tell you every veteran has to be diagnosed with PTSD though, but we have multiple, more and more MST veterans come through. And we also work with veterans that have TBI, traumatic brain injury. And we help them find a path forward to help them learn. But a lot of stuff we have now with where we're at, we have a lot in writing. We have a lot of content in writing and in video for them to have at their fingertips if they have memory issues and things like that. We've done a lot of things to help bridge the gap in people's learning deficits or even physical deficits. And then sometimes we work with balance. We have some amputees that come through and we have some mobility dogs. Now, we don't do a lot of mobility, but just because we train the way we train, with our groups and stuff like that. But we do have some veterans that we also use for mobility. But all of them have to be diagnosed. It doesn't matter what the percentage, but they have to have a diagnosis of PTSD.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, that was something good to know. And so with Jared and Jacob, like with being so involved in this, like just have you guys been able to serve anybody that they served with?
No, not yet. Not yet. They have. That's a great question, though. But no, they have not. Yeah.
So, Candace, I put the link up there for donate because I know you're going to ask about that here in a minute.
Of course I am.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's so many things that they need. And so do you have a training facility? So when these people come in for this 5-week training, where is the training for the dogs done?
Well, great question. It is done outside. So yeah, I wish we had a training facility. So, it's really interesting. So we've gifted 257 service dogs to the ticket of $25,000 a dog. We do everything we can to continue to raise money. I didn't know that when I started Northwest Battle Buddies, I would become a professional beggar. It's like, I'm a very, very independent.
It is
I'm a very independent.
The greatest jobs in the world.
Yeah. I'm a very independent woman and I just really will never ask for anything. But for Northwest Battle Buddies, all I do is like, help us, please help us. It's we the people, man. We got it, but I had Purina Dog Chow came out and they did some filming, and Purina Dog Chow has a heart for veterans. And they've just done a lot of things for another nonprofit that I'm the executive director of, which is the Association of Service Dog Providers for Military Veterans. And I will tell everybody, if there's any listener that doesn't think they could make it all the way out to Washington, D.C., the Association of Service Dog Providers, if you go online and look, that's an elite group of organizations that are across the nation that have a high standard of training and serving veterans. And I'm the executive director of that. And so I'm just saying, if I want everybody to come to Northwest Battle Buddies, we are the best. We are going to serve you. We want to serve you. But I am telling you, there are those people that think, man, that's just not possible. That's not doable. But there are other organizations out like us. And the Association of Service Dog Providers is a great resource to find out, or contact Northwest Battle Base. Ask me and I'll do my best to get you hooked up. But what was I'm trying to think of what the original question was. I went down that rabbit hole because I wanted to tell it. But as far as the facility, so Dog Chow is out here filming our veterans and doing some educational pieces because they've given millions of dollars to veteran organizations, and they were filming for us. And they saw the volume. They saw me at a national conference as the executive director. They saw all this stuff, and then they came here and they're like, where's your facility? So I have 4 acres here. I live here, and I have my dog kennel for my for-profit, which will house 100 dogs. I have professional staff to take care of them, indoor, outdoor, heated, air-conditioned facility, acres of fenced grass fields to run in, all of that. But that's my for-profit. And they're like, well, where's Northwest Battle Buddies? I'm like, it's right here. And they're like, where's your facility? I'm like, well, we don't have one. We've put all the money in the dogs. As much as we want a facility, when you've got 130 veterans on the waiting list with a suicide rate of 22 veterans a day, how do you take that money and build a building when you could provide us a dog?
Right.
And so now I want the building, but we haven't been able to do that. So, and they made a comment, they're like, we've given a lot of money to somebody who does 10 dogs a year. Now, anybody that does whatever number of dogs a year, kudos to them. It's not, I'm just making the comment
Right.
about the amount. And I was like, so I said, we have a horse stall. We have a really large horse stall where everybody can just sit with their dogs. We have the restaurant heaters for them to stay warm when it's cold. Because when it was 18 degrees out, we were training because it's time to have the veterans here. Yep. And you know what, though? That's nothing compared to what they faced before. And we're just going to get it done. So I have a 4-acre piece of property that we train on here to answer your question. We are in the elements. But I got to tell you, when you watch a Vietnam veteran in a walker, walking through the grass or the snow, walking his dog, working on his obedience in the field, doing a CGC test, canine good citizen test and all that, and you watch that determination, it makes you like not complain the rest of the day about anything.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, our veterans are like, don't even worry about it, Shannon, get the next veteran off the list. But I will tell you, when they're in the pouring rain, I feel bad. But then we also train in public. We're out everywhere. We're at airport, TSA security, public transportation, restaurants, malls, grocery stores, churches, theaters. We're everywhere where we can imagine that we could take our veterans with these service dogs, with these dogs, to get them proficient, and not just proficient, but excellent in their muscle memory, handling their service dogs in public, and then learning how to navigate life with people. Because you had commented, Candace, on, we want our veterans to get out there, and then they do get out there. Now they have to face all this. They have to face, being rejected or being stared at like they're naked, or everybody wanting to pet their dog. I was in a live interview. I was on a TV interview, and the gal asked me, when people see a service dog and a veteran or somebody with a service dog, what should they do? Like, how to engage them? But I said, ignore them. Walk right, smile, and walk on by.
Like you would any other human being.
That's exactly right. Just let them do their day. They don't need to hear it. No disrespect to anybody, but they don't need to hear another stupid pet story. They don't. They just want to go get their milk and go home.
Yeah.
And
because a lot of these veterans would never even leave the home if they didn't have that dog. So being able to go and do the activity or something that they need it to do, and then adding like people, like they have to people. I say unfortunately, but I dated a veteran with a service animal for almost 4 years, and seeing the other side of that, and how many times I was Candace and I lost my mind on people. Like who do you think you are? Why is that different? Why is that person having a service animal any different than that person in a wheelchair? Do you go ask them what's wrong and why they need the wheelchair? No, you don't. So don't ask. It's one, none of your business. Two, you don't know the ins and outs of everything that goes with that. So there's so many things that people have never been around it, don't understand what these veterans are. Well,
and on the other side of that, or to make it worse, when people are breaking the law and they are committing fraud and taking their pet into a store as a service dog because they feel they have the right, because the dog makes them feel better, but they're not disabled, the dog has not had training, but we have all these people abusing the system, and they're allowing the public to pet their dogs. They are breaking service dog etiquette. They are breaking the laws. It confuses the public, and they can't really, and so not only, and so you have to deal with that too. So it's a lot for our veterans to finally break barriers and not be isolated. Have to deal with that. But that's one of the reasons our program is 5 weeks for our veterans, because we are teaching them how to answer people politely, how to answer people respectfully. What is the law? We try to get our veterans, we try to prepare them for every scenario that we can possibly think of, and we can't think of them all. But so they can go out and feel like they have been prepared and they can get through that obstacle.
Yeah, and sometimes you can't be polite or respectful because it gets to a point that, you know what? But you also, and this is just like, you know, officers or teachers or any field, like there's always bad apples. There definitely are. There are veterans that have legitimate service animals, but they're not legitimate in themselves. Like it's the words hurt coming out of my mouth because I love and respect all veterans, even if you're a shitty one, and almost too much still, even if you're a shitty one. But there are people that abuse that side of it too. And that makes it hard because you do have this service animal that was trained to be this beautiful tool and this loving companion, and then you go out and it even confuses people that know you well because you make such a big deal that you need this animal for specific things that may or may not have actually happened to you, one, and then you're allowing these animals, these beautiful tools, to just go and do whatever. So you're confusing everybody.
So that brings up a good question.
Sorry.
We know some veterans that have service dogs that don't take their service dog anywhere with them. The service dog stays at home. Now, you as a service dog provider, what is your course of action if you find out one of your dogs are not being used or utilized like they're supposed to be utilized? What's your course of action? What can you do?
Yeah. So, well, great question. And there's a couple layers there. So first of all, we're talking about the dogs a lot here and that tool. So number one, I always tell our veterans when it comes to the dogs, I tell our veterans in the first week, sometimes on usually day 2, you are our mission. We are dedicated to you. We will serve you. You are our mission, but the dogs are our responsibility. We will advocate for these dogs. They must and will have a quality, good life, safe life. Otherwise, the veteran loses the dog. Out of 257 veterans, we have recovered 2 dogs. So that's a pretty good statistic, but we did recover those 2 dogs. And those dogs are, one of them was here recently, and he's going to be repaired with a veteran in 2 weeks. And the other one went immediately from serving that veteran and immediately went and started serving a Vietnam veteran, and they lived out their life together. So that was pretty awesome. So now Northwest Battle Buddies is, we are continually perfecting our processes and our SOPs and our requirements, and even changing our terminology and our expectation for our veterans, because this is a tool that is a $25,000 tool that has to be used. And if it doesn't bring value to your life, then it's a waste, and then it's going to go serve somebody else. It is never our desire to take a dog from a veteran. That is our last. As long as the dog is safe. If the dog is not safe, we don't bat an eye, and it's done. We've recovered dogs. We've gotten lawyers. We've done the thing, and we will do the thing. But because I'm not going to quit, and I love these dogs, and so yeah, I'm just like, don't poke the bear. It's like, don't touch my kids, don't touch my dogs. And every Northwest Battle Buddy dog is my dog. 257 out there, they're all mine. In my heart anyway. But to answer your question, now it's called a plan of action. Whereas in the past, we didn't have this. So if a veteran, first of all, if we have a veteran that is in the workforce, but they do not have reasonable accommodation to take that dog to the workforce, they don't get one of our dogs. They may qualify in every area. And it's really sad because a lot of work, organizations, businesses, companies, they drag their feet and they will not give a reasonable accommodation, which will allow the dog to come to work. Now, we're not going to put the dog in harm's way at work. We will always come up with a way that dog can be at work safe. And the veteran can still do his job and do right by his employer. There's a lot of boxes that have to be checked, because it's not fair if the dog goes to work and now the guy can't do his job, and now the employers, it's got to all work. Right. And some job, they can't have a dog there. It's just not safe for the dog. So unfortunately, they can't have a service dog if they're going to be in that employment. But we do our best to find a path forward, to find a way so everybody's safe. But if the veteran says, well, I'm just going to go to my job and I'll leave my dog home and then I'll come home to my dog, we don't do that. That's an ESA. Your dog will become the family pet, and the dog has to be with you 24/7. So first of all, we have that qualification. Now we also have what's called a plan of action. So before they even come into our 5 weeks, we tell them it's in writing and it's a contract. And we say, what do you want to do with your dog? If I always say till graduation day, if you graduate with this dog, I never say this is your dog, because it isn't their dog till the last minute of the last day when they pass their testing. Because we do our best. We want everybody to pass. We want everybody to get a dog, but I'm just saying that's the way it goes. But we ask them before they even meet their dog, what do you want to be able to do? If you graduate with a dog, what is your goal? What do you want to be able to do that you cannot do? Like one gentleman said, okay, I can't go anywhere without my service person. So I want to be able to take my daughter to the park, just a dad and her daughter at the park with a service dog. So that would be a goal. It's got to be a verb. It's like, I want to go to Walmart without my service person. And so I just want to go. We had one guy, he goes, I just want to shop for clothes as a man by myself without a babysitter.
Yeah.
And he does. He actually got engaged and moved to England. I mean, his life is completely changed. But my point is that, so we have a plan of action and then we have a deadline. So when they graduate with our service dog, now there's a timeline. When did you want to meet that goal? They report to us. They send us pictures, but it's in contract now to force that issue of go out and live your life. Now you have to go do it. So they don't fall back into old habits and all that. So that's how, that's the education that starts before they even meet their dog. And it's talked about for 5 weeks. So they come in knowing the expectation. And so anyway, so that's the kind of thing that we end up doing. And it's really working amazing. It's amazing. And we just started out in the last year. So that's been really great.
You know, and some people might think that you're being a little harsh or a little firm, but I'm going to tell you, like, living a life with a veteran that had a service animal, I love your expectations. I love the fact that you are so detailed on that and so specific, because one, you're saving this beautiful tool to do everything into its ability to serve its purpose. And you are making sure that with that purpose, that veteran is safe, that veteran is free.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a beautiful thing. And have you ever, or how often have you seen that maybe a veteran comes out and like, or maybe didn't make it out because the specifics and what's required of having this, maybe they couldn't handle?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
All couldn't handle, but the veteran couldn't handle the responsibility, because there's responsibility to it.
Yeah. Well, so the application process is a qualification. Everything they have to give us paperwork wise is a qualification. I tell our veteran liaison, she goes, well, I think sometimes our paperwork processes are too hard. I'm like, well, if they can't do the paper, they certainly can't handle 5 weeks with us. This is the easy part. You know, and the other thing is that, you know, these men and women that stand in front of us when they're here for a dog, they're not victims. These are men and women of courage that have taken a gut punch, and they're survivors. And that is how we treat them.
Yeah.
Nobody here's a victim. Everybody has trauma. Everybody's experienced trauma. My trainers have experienced trauma. I've experienced trauma. Everybody has. We don't wear it as a thing. But I hear what you're saying. There are those that want to be enabled and babied, and they have a victim mentality. And I tell our veterans, the greatest obstacle you'll ever face in this 5 weeks is the battle in your mind. And it's the reason it's the hardest is because you don't even know you're in the battle. And it's the battle we can't help you with. You know, we talk a lot about mindset. We talk a lot about all that kind of stuff. But if they can't handle the 5 weeks, and you're right, they don't always make it.
Right. Well, sometimes they're not actually in the battle. It's a show.
That's right. You're right. And, you know, this thing, I thought every veteran was going to be like my dad.
Right. Yes. My daddy, Marcus, the one that's commenting on there, that's my daddy. That's my hero. And, you know, it's, his his 150-pound Roddy keeps him home and gives him a really good excuse to not go anywhere. So Harley, he's a good boy. But
So I want to touch on this question real quick. Rich wasn't in here when you talked about the dogs that you use. So Rich, they do rescue dogs but they also have two breeds that they breed just for service dogs.
a cream golden and a English lab. Now, she originally started out 13 years ago, like purely with
all shelter dogs.
The shelter.
All shelter dogs.
But as she was saying, there's something to the training and being raised in their livelihood of using some.
Well, yeah, genetics, but also donor dollars. When you're looking at, it's really unfortunate when you get 4 months into a 5-month program and now you have to wash that dog that you've spent, because the money's gone. Yeah. You got 4 months in a dog, and you can't turn around and sell that shelter dog for thousands of dollars just because the obedience or whatever it is. So, but they have tremendous value. Almost every group of dogs we have, every group of graduating veterans, we have rescues. In the last group, we had an incredible rescue. His name was Honor, and he was a hound lab mix, and he was the best dog out of the whole group. So when we talk about shelter dogs and we talk about purpose-bred dogs, it is not one, isn't like, it does not discount ever a shelter dog. I've had them. I love them. I don't want to ever see any dog in a shelter. I hate that. They all deserve to be, treated and respected and given the life. And we need more people to be human. We need people to be responsible with the dogs that they are getting and all that kind of stuff. But when you are looking at, I can't afford to have dogs fail when I have a veteran on the list waiting, and I can't afford to lose the donor dollars. So as a business, we have to look at what's the most viable, what's the most productive, what is the best sure way that we can have. So when we start with a dog, we can end with that veteran walking away, graduated with a service dog. And it doesn't mean we're 100%, but we have an extremely high rate of success. But it's about perfecting that because we have lives on the line. Right. And time and money lost that we will never get back. So we've really tried to perfect that system to make sure that we can be most effective.
Yeah, and it's like I hate that we're bringing up some of the negatives of some veterans and some service animals, but there really are some beautiful things out of this when you have an organization like yours that is doing proper training, proper filtering and really with your heart and your passion behind it, and then bringing your boys into that, like the story of the patriotism of your father is where that started, the heart, because you wouldn't have this heart without your daddy, and your boys wouldn't have this without their mama. Like, let's be honest, it's, I've never met these men and I want to know them.
Yeah, they're awesome.
She's gonna plan a trip up there to see you.
Yeah, please do.
It's they're look, Lorelai made me totally distracted me.
No, I want to if I can say something really quick. You're talking about the negative. The thing is more of anything is more of everything. It's when I look at the personalities of the people that come through, the people we have the honor to serve and meet. The ones that make it, the ones that don't. Most of them make it, but the ones that don't, they just found out it wasn't for them. Right. They got to go through the processes, or if whatever it is, we wish them all the best. But it's no different than anything in life when you're dealing with people, and then you're dealing with dogs, and there's just always the reason that we have to be so proficient is because the responsibility that we have is extremely high. If we have to be unwavering on what we believe best practices are, what we will tolerate, and what we expect from our veterans and our service dogs. First of all, if we don't expect, our standard, our bar is the lowest. It's the lowest. So, and don't get me wrong, it's like if our bar is this high, that's where it starts for us.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, and our veterans deserve the best. They deserve the best. And so it's got to be excellent, or it just doesn't work for me. And my team is that way because our veterans deserve it. But it takes that for them to go out and succeed the way they have. Yeah. And it's, but the fact is we live in this world and we live with all kinds of personalities and people struggle, and you have to have a plan of action for when it doesn't go exactly right.
Yeah.
And then you have to protect your dog, you have to protect yourself, you have to, we live in the real world here, and we're dealing with people that are hurting. And so, yeah, so it is what it is. But for the most part, it's a win. And we got 257 veterans out there that are our mission in action, and they're bringing hope and healing, and they're an example to even other veterans that are even watching, and it's amazing.
Yeah. And I love your standard, and I love that your low bar is high, because it's not just a pet. Of course, it does become a companion, but it is a tool, and it is saving lives.
Yeah.
It is not just a family pet to put in the backyard or lay on the couch while you go to work. Like it is something so much bigger than that. And what you're doing, Miss Shannon.
Yeah.
And we just barely scratched the surface of what Northwest Battle Buddies has. Because if you go to their website, northwestbattlebuddies.org, go over to where it says support our veterans. There's a little drop down there. It says donate. So you can donate there. You can pledge a pup. So if you have a dog that any kind of puppy, they had puppies, you can pledge a puppy. If I think it's right. Is that correct? No.
Yeah, it's okay. So what we have pledge a pup means we are looking for donors to donate a monthly donation towards a single pup. So those pups, there's 3 different pups, and they are in foster homes. And the people that donate monthly, they get a monthly update. And what we're looking for is enough people to pay for that dog's training.
Nice.
And so they get to, it gives people, so in the fosters, they're seeing the dog's camp for the first time. They're hearing about the dog's, what it's experiencing each month, and they get photos and they get videos, all the way updates to where that dog meets its veteran through training to graduation. So they get to watch this dog grow up, meeting its veteran, and on to graduation. So that's what that Pledge a Pup is. Yeah.
And then you got join Operation Never Quit.
Yes.
And then foster a puppy.
Yep.
Become a sponsor. Custom donation pages. Request a speaker. Wish list. I'm assuming wish list is like dog food and stuff like that.
Yeah, Amazon wish list, so people can purchase things there, and so we don't have to spend our money to do that. And so we have a list of everything that we use for our dogs that people can go ahead and gift us and give a direct donation in an item as opposed to money.
Nice.
And if you are a corporation or
501c3.
Oh, no. I'm saying, like, if you're watching and you know of a corporation or something that does some big things for legitimate and wonderful organizations, look into sponsoring that veteran for that 5-week trip. That's
absolutely
really a need.
And then you can also sign up for a newsletter. That's the emails, the newsletter. So you can sign up for that. And then just go through there and look at like events that they got going on, the blog that they have. You can go in and if you're a veteran, you can apply for a service dog, Vision of Hope, resources, veteran answers and questions. I was slipping there. But no, so you guys are doing amazing things. And I wanted to make sure that, I put it out there that you guys are just not limited to the area that you're in. Right. You can actually bring veterans in from out of state if they get approved through the process. And I love that you guys have the structure that you do when it comes to giving a dog to a veteran, because there, like Candace was saying, there's some veterans out there that are just putting on a show. I've seen it with my own eyes. I know a few people that I can speak of right now that has a service dog that probably shouldn't have a service dog, because the dog stays at the house the whole time, and then the only time that service dog goes somewhere is when they have to be in front of people from the VA and stuff like that to make a show. And for me, that is terrible if that happens, because there are veterans out there that need service dogs, and the veterans that got service dogs that don't need them shouldn't have them. So I love what you guys are doing.
And you had mentioned at one point wait, first of all, how many 2-week-old puppies do you have?
6.
6. So you had mentioned that you have a wait list of 130 veterans. The great thing is that you're not just doing those one at a time. You're talking about these groups that you bring together, and let alone you're saving more than one life at a time, but you're also creating that camaraderie for those veterans, which is that's a beautiful thing as well, and it adds so much to that training. And
you're doing
it's
14 dogs at a time, right?
I'm sorry.
Is it 14 dogs at a time that you do?
Yeah. Yeah. 14 veterans come in at one time. That's our goal. It's a lot of work to get 14 people to put their life on hold to come in here for 5 weeks from all across the nation. But we work with, it's so many hoops to jump through, but it's so worth it. But 14 at a time.
So if this is an organization that somebody wants to look into, that if you're watching or listening now or in the future, don't be discouraged by that number. Because they're putting them through it, and looking at something with such structure, and I can't imagine like the requirements that you have. Like, I'd love to know the requirements to foster one of these dogs, because you probably got to jump through some hoops to hold on to one of these dogs, and I love it.
It is. One time I had to get a lawyer and the judge involved to recover a foster dog, But look how many we foster. It's like, it's an anomaly, but we'll still do it. And I had somebody say, well, just let the dog go. I'm like, have you not met me? I'm like, no, I'm not going to let me. So we got him back, and he's serving an amazing veteran right now, and they're doing amazing. But, it's a lot of work, but I can't imagine doing anything else, and I can't imagine doing it any other way. And I know we've said it, but it really is serving our veterans at the highest level in any way we can, setting them up for success, because their lives are on the line. They put their life on the line. And, and we are continuing to learn and educate ourselves to be better at what we do all the time. There's not one group of veterans that doesn't go through that we have not perfected our process and improved it one way or another. And I tell them, and it's just, it's just the way we are. And I think that's the way everything should be, because if you're not learning, you're not growing either. So, we continue to try to learn so we can help our veterans at the highest level, like I said.
Yeah, you guys are top notch. There's several different service dog organizations out there, and I'm not going to knock any one of them, because each one of them have something that they do differently. Just from what I've seen and how we've interacted, even during the meet and greet, it seems like you guys are leaps and bounds from some service dog organizations out there. And that's amazing. And I love that you have taken it a step further, and then now you're the director of an organization, of a collective of service dog organizations, and hopefully you're working towards getting them to the level of where you guys are as Northwest Battle Buddies. That way more veterans across the country can get a service dog if they need a service dog. I think that's amazing. And I think you and Cassie, I know Candace mentioned her earlier. There's an organization here, Dogs Helping Heroes. They have no waiting list right now for service dogs. Now, they do rescue dogs out of shelters, but if a veteran applies right now, they can get a service dog.
And her dogs are amazing.
And
awesome.
She has amazing dogs.
I think they could benefit from you, somehow, some way, and vice versa. So I'd love to get you and Cassie connected. That way you guys can learn from each other. And because I had her literally, I texted her, I said, hey, have you ever heard of Northwest Battle Buddies? Because to me, she was the person that I know about service dogs. And
she's our service dog person.
and she answered, she had all kinds of questions. I mean, literally, she wrote me a whole list of questions. And I'm like, all right. And I try to get her to come on here, because I think that, you and her getting together, I think that would be amazing. So I'm gonna make that happen.
Yeah, I love it.
You look at the years and years of knowledge and experience that Shannon has, and that's what's given her the ability to do what you're doing. And like I said earlier, thank God that you have that gift and you're using it for what you are. Because you already have 267 lives.
Yeah, 257.
257.
Yeah.
257 lives that this organization has saved.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Shannon, we got to start wrapping it up. We're on that time crunch for Reach Across America Radio. So is there anything else that you want to touch on before we let you go in the green room?
Yes. Can you please tell your listeners to vote for us at the Defender Service Awards?
Yep. Let me
The
put
link
the
is
link.
there. Yep.
Yep.
We are in the finals to win $25,000 cash prize, which would get a veteran off of our waiting list and a Defender 130 that we could transport 6 of our dogs at one time inside a cab, but that's who wins. You win a Defender 130 and you win $25,000 cash prize. All of your listeners can vote one time a day, all the way through the 17th, all the way through the night of the 17th. We need everybody to vote. We need to win this.
Yes.
Please
Vote.
Share it with your friends. Put it on your Facebook. Please vote every day. Northwest Battle Buddies.
So awesome. The link is up on the screen right now. It's also in chat, whether you're watching wherever you're watching on one of the platforms. Go vote for
first vote now.
Yep. Click it and go vote now.
Yes.
Well, Miss Shannon, thank you again. We're going to put you in the green room for a second, and then we're going to close up, and then we'll come back and chit chat just for a few minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. How cool was that?
I love her.
I knew you would.
She's feisty and I like it.
Like when we did the meet and greet, when I did the meet and greet with her, I was like, Candace is going to love her. I knew you were going to just from get go. And I knew some questions that you were going to ask.
Did you?
And yes, I did. Did you see my face light up when you were asking some of those questions?
Oh, when I got to a certain point, I saw that grin on your face. I'm not even going to call it a smile. I was calling it a grin because I wasn't even expecting to go there. But,
I knew you were.
Sometimes you got to go there.
Yeah.
It's reality. It's like I said, not every veteran is a good veteran, but the majority. I've ran into a few bad ones, haven't I?
Yes, me and you both have.
But you know what? My picker's broken because, I'm like, "Ooh, let me help you. Let me fix you." And then
you know what they say, right? You're a Captain Save a Ho.
Not anymore. Not anymore. I'm
right,
Captain.
Right.
No.
You're what?
Captain No-Ho. But they're, majority. I'm gonna say. Oh, I almost went too high. I'm gonna say 98% of veterans are good veterans.
Yeah.
Like you Marines, like you made us lose 1% or 2. Like
I want to give a shout out to Heroes Media Group, Adam Bird and his team over there. Go check out heroesmediagroup.com. Adam is amazing. He takes care of HomeFront Sitrep. I'm glad to be a great partner with him. As Candace stated earlier today, October 3rd was our first episode on Reach Across America Radio. You can find them on the TuneIn app, Odyssey app, and
is it Odyssey or is it Audacity?
It's Odyssey.
Spelled with an O or an A?
A.
It's now you got me saying it wrong. It's Audacity.
Well, we'll see.
You're going to confuse people.
Well, no, because it's not. You'll see in the commercial.
AUD.
It's AUDCY or some. Yeah, and iHeartRadio.
Oh wait, before you do that, we've got to finish up with Northwest Battle Buddies because that was awesome. To find an organization like that is within our nation for our people, for our veterans, the ones that allow us to do what we do every day now. To have somebody that gives that much support and that much passion and heart and drive behind them that you can see in her eyes, you can hear it in her voice. And she says Louisville right too.
Yeah, she does say Louisville right.
It's one of those things that makes your heart happy. that you know that there's this beautiful human out there that is doing beautiful things for some amazing people, and
Oh
I
yeah.
love I love it.
257 lives saved
Mm.
since 2013. That is amazing. Who's the comment up here? Um, Brian Woods.
Ryan,
Brian Wood. What's up, brother? And then, I want to give a shout out to Veterans Voice Radio. They focus on um, independent veteran singers on the radio station. There's two apps that you can download. There's the Simplify Country and Ranger Rockwave. You can go listen. Love you too, brother. You can go listen to independent veteran singers and songwriters and their family on Veterans Voice Radio. And then I want to give a shout out to Military United Podcast Streams, my buddy Brian Roof over there at Every Day's a Saturday USMC Veteran Podcast. He does amazing podcast episodes and stuff. He focuses on anything veteran related. So go give him a like and follow as well. And then
that's our HomeFront Sitrep.
in HomeFront Sitrep,
Like follow a chair.
So I'm going to play this Reese Across America radio video real quick. Hey, it's Willis. Join Candace and I from Homefront Sitrep on Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern on Reese Across America Radio. You can find Reese Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Audacity app, and TuneIn app. Search the word Reese.
Sorry, you said it right.
I did, didn't I?
I was like, wait, I've never heard of that one.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Mm.
And then if you're a veteran and you're in crisis, 988*1. You can text them, you can call them, you can go online and chat with them online. If you don't like the person you're chatting with, you can disconnect and call back. If you're a family of a member of a veteran, 988*1, and they will talk with you as well.
I want to kind of throw a reminder out there because, they call it the crisis line, of course. And absolutely, if you're in crisis, call them. But also keep in mind, I want these veterans to keep in mind, an active veteran, whoever you are, you can call them if you're having a bad day.
Yep.
There is just something that is pushing you to a place that you don't want to go any farther with. If you feel yourself spiraling, if you're having some of those demons come out, call them. Like
I called them the other day. Literally, we talked about my time in Haiti, right? All the time, and the smell of being there. So I just happened to be driving by the landfill over on Outer Loop and Grade Lane, and the smell just hit me, and it transported me back to Haiti. And I'm like, So I called and I talked to him. I was on the phone with him for 15, 20 minutes, but luckily I was able to, tell him how I was feeling and what was going on. And I didn't have the thoughts of, like hurting myself or anything. So I didn't go there, but it was just the fact that I was transported right back to that moment in time. And it was just like, bro, it just, and we talk about invisible wounds of war. And that's exactly what happened. Is it just transported me back to a time and place that is stuck with me. I'm 46 now. I've been out of the Marine Corps since 2004, and I was in Haiti in 1998 or 99.
But I mean, that's an example. Like, you aren't necessarily into crisis.
Yeah.
But they're available, and they're there to talk to, no matter what.
Yep. So let's play that commercial because I've said everything that they write on this board. I've said everything that they wrote, and I'm sure Shannon probably has said the same thing too. So if you hear my dogs barking, the wife and Lorelai just got home from wherever. Can you hear them?
It's okay. This is a show about dogs.
I know, right? Definitely.
But that commercial makes me take the deepest breath.
Mm.
Like there's part of the way through it, it's like, okay, one, we're not alone ever in bold-faced saying those lies almost every day to the people that we tell them to. But
yeah,
it does.
and you know there's yeah. Earlier today, somebody asked me how I was doing, and I was like, living the dream. And I knew, and I knew that I was tore up inside.
You saw that whiteboard as you said it, though, didn't you?
Oh, I did. I did. I mean, I literally did. Now we got a new hashtag that I want to talk about. Before I play the Ask Monica. So my brother come up with this right here. Hashtag be someone stranger. And what that means is I'm more likely to talk to somebody who I don't know about the things that I'm going on and that's going on in my life. Because my loved ones, I want to shelter them from my demons. So I'm going to be more apt to talk to somebody who is a stranger than I am my loved one. So when my brother said this the other day, he said, I want to be someone stranger. It just struck a nerve. So I want you guys out there, everybody who's watching or is going to watch or has watched and come back to it, hashtag be someone stranger. Make a post, hashtag be somebody stranger or be someone stranger. Because it resonates. I mean,
and do feel so inclined. Be that stranger.
yeah.
Ask that next question.
Yep. And then hashtag ask that next hard question. Yeah.
How are you doing?
So Brian Wood is my brother from South Kakalaki, South Carolina. He said, gosh, wish we had these type of broadcasts for our Vietnam vets. This would have been awesome. Thank you for all you guys do to help all of our military. Thank you, Brian.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you very much, sir. And then our last commercial that I'm going to play right now is hashtag Ask Monica. So HomeFront Sitrep has a segment called hashtag Ask Monica. If you're filing your disability or have a question about your disability claim or want a second opinion, you can email Monica Sanford at askmonica0@gmail.com. She has a doctorate in nursing. She's been married to a lieutenant colonel, retired for 35 plus years. She is amazing, and she will get back to you pretty quickly. So let's play that.
Every time.
I know. It's just catchy. I love that tune. It's just.
I know. It's that time. This is always the part that I hate. It's the worst part of the show. I don't want to do it.
I know, right? So make sure you're watching as it scrolls through there this time. Don't have your head down.
I was sharing our live.
I know.
I can go back and look. I'll go back and look. But you know,
but it's that time, Miss Candace.
I know we love all of our listeners and our viewers, and we appreciate you for sure. Tonight was a great show. And on that note, stay safe out there. We got your six.
We got your six. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.